From Connecticut, the ranking member of the full committee, Ms. DeLauro, for her opening statement. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I want to echo my friend and my colleague, Congressman Cole, the chairman of the full committee's comments. I have had the opportunity of working with you the last several years, and whether it is in subcommittee or full committee, engaging on issues that you care about, that we care about. It has always been a civil, a respectful, and an honest discussion of what we are trying to effectuate. And so in that context, for me, that is a hallmark of how we do our business here, is when we can disagree about a number of issues, and yet we can find the way to help to try to make a difference. That's a hallmark, I might add, of the Appropriations Committee, which is historic in the sense that Democrats and Republicans have come together around compromise and moved the bill forward. I've said over and over again, my colleagues have heard me, that the appropriations process is the center, it's the heart and soul, it's the guts of the federal government. If there is no agreement on both sides of the aisle, both houses, this government shuts down. And there are serious consequences about shutting that down. And we have worked in order to eliminate that, but we have also, and I thank the chair of this subcommittee and the chair of the full committee to understand that the power of the purse resides in the Appropriations Committee. And we have provided in all of our bills, including in the Homeland bill, the guardrails that, quite frankly, the administration and the Office of Management and Budget have tried to eviscerate, and to take that power of the purse, transfer it from the Congress, and set it in the executive. And quite frankly, I believe that what we have done at the subcommittee and at the full committee levels is say no. No, we are going to make the decisions that reflect what the American people have asked us to do on their behalf. So I want to thank you. We will miss you and your personality, but your commitment to making this government work and the reasons for that. You know why you've come to serve here, and it's been a pleasure. I will also say, a dear friend, and we're going to differ on some things, and we can differ strongly, but we knew we had a mission. And the bills that were passed, all 11 of them, and the ones last week, will make a hell of a lot of difference in the lives of the American people and address what is their single biggest issue today, and that's their cost of living and affordability, not a hoax, a reality. And the bills that we have fostered and put forward address that issue foursquare. And for that, I too treasure the friendship that I have with the chair of the full committee in order to understand, to get things done and to make a difference. And let me move to today's hearing. And I thank you for it, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be blunt here with you. Let us be perfectly clear about what we're doing here today. This hearing is not about solutions. This hearing, in my view, is for show. This is supposedly a hearing about funding for the Department of Homeland Security, and yet the Secretary of Homeland Security is in hiding. Secretary Noem should be here today. She should be explaining why her department is arresting and deporting American citizens. Why is it pulling law-abiding residents out of their cars, beating them in the streets? Why it tear-gassed an infant and a pastor and blinded a young man? She should be answering here for the shameless lies that she has told about 2 American citizens who were killed in cold blood by her agents. But she is not here. She is hiding because she knows that her conduct is indefensible. There are also no representatives here from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement or Customs and Border Protection, the two agencies at the heart of this matter. Democrats requested that they be present. Why are they not here? That should tell you everything you need to know about what this hearing is really all about. It is not to address the real concerns of millions of Americans over the unchecked brutality of officers within those agencies, brutality that has left 2 Americans dead and countless others seriously injured. No, the goal is to pretend they do not exist while perpetuating the fiction that Democrats are opposed to funding for disaster relief or cybersecurity or the Coast Guard or Transportation Security Administration or Secret Service, when nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, it is the Republican leadership that has chosen to hold your agencies hostage to avoid implementing reforms that they know are necessary to keep our communities safe from immigration and customs enforcement and the Customs and Border Patrol. I have introduced today a bill that would fully fund every agency that is represented in this hearing today. Remember that as my Republican colleagues pose leading questions to our witnesses about what a shutdown would mean for their agencies. I've read the testimony. My bill sets Customs and Border Protection and Immigration and Customs Enforcement funding aside, while negotiations over needed dramatic reforms continue separately. ICE cannot be abolished, but I will not provide a single cent for those agencies until dramatic changes are made. We will not provide a single cent for those agencies until real changes are made. The vast majority of Americans are overwhelmingly support the reforms that the Democrats have laid out. Requiring agents to get a warrant from a judge before they kick in someone's door, preventing U.S. citizens from being detained or deported, stopping agents from camping out at schools, at hospitals, at churches, requiring the use of body cameras, removing the masks, presenting identification on uniforms, allowing independent investigations into misconduct, establishing a legally binding use of force policy, and ending the roving patrols that harass bystanders based on their race are all reforms that are backed by a strong majority of Americans. My Republican colleagues know these reforms are necessary. If they really believed everything was fine, they would have those agencies testifying here today. They would not be afraid of the questions of myself or my Democratic colleagues would ask them if they are behaving in a way that was worthy of further funding. Instead, my Republican colleagues have set immigration and customs enforcement and Customs and Border Patrol to the side for a separate conversation. I am grateful, so grateful, to the witnesses who have made the time to appear here today. The work that you and your agencies carry out every single day is crucial. My Democratic colleagues and I fought hard to ensure that your agencies receive the resources that you need when we are negotiating the full-year funding bill. I might add, we did work in a bipartisan way to address these issues. These provisions are reflected in the measure that I have introduced this morning. I want to protect your mission. I want to protect the progress you make and the further progress that you can make. I want to protect provisions that we secured that stop Secretary Noem and President Trump from permanently dismantling FEMA. The Secretary appeared before our committee and indicated that FEMA should be eliminated. When I questioned the interim director and say, should it be eliminated or should there be reforms? He stated that it shouldn't be eliminated, but there should be major reforms. The next day he was fired. The very next day, he was fired. I want to include the language that we agreed on that would prevent President Trump from hollowing out the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, especially as the volume and sophistication of cyber attacks increases relentlessly. I want to protect the resources we secured for the brave men and women of the Secret Service who put their lives on the line every day and who historically have worked to protect every single president of the United States. And I want to make sure that the United States Coast Guard receives the more than $500 million funding increase we fought for during our negotiations, so that they have the resources to respond to drug smuggling, human trafficking, and natural disasters that threaten our country. I am proud to be in the state that represents the Coast Guard and in the city of New Haven, Connecticut, with the Coast Guard facility. I want your men and women to be well taken care of, to be able to carry out their job. All of these provisions are included in the legislation that I have introduced today. If funding lapses on Saturday, it is the Republican leadership who will bear the responsibility for the impacts that we will hear about today. I thank the chairman and I yield back.
Thank you, Madam Ranking Member. We'll start out with the opening statement from Admiral Allen. Without objection, the witness's full written testimony will be entered into the record. With that in mind, we would ask you to please summarize your opening statement